now we shift focus to a very interesting part of this conversation, one that I personally look up to every time we have this show, because we have Aaron and myself, one of our favorite guests, Reverend Sylvester Martin. Reverend, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Last week we couldn't have you. It was a busy week for everyone,
every
nationally.
4 years. I hope they make it 2 years.
Oh, wow. Then nothing would ever be done.
Something can be done if you have leaders. You can do a lot in 2 years.
Wow. Somebody said
we don't.
Politicians are like diapers. They are changed frequently for the same reason.
I tell you.
Wow, interesting. Look, Reverend, today we are discussing.
Hey, I also voted.
You also voted?
Yeah, so we'll talk about vote.
You want to talk about voting?
Yeah.
What about the results do you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't want nothing much, but I think it reflects the reality on the ground. So for me, I'm happy. It's good. It will change. I mean, one party is not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
So I hope for a long time nobody breaks the 8. Until there's a real reason. When it's time to break the 8, the party will not advocate for it. The results will advocate for it. Your performance will, will advocate for it. So I'm glad it went the way it did. So
in terms
wait
of the
for 4
results.
years. Yeah, in terms of the results, it reflected the reality on the ground.
So you feel at the point we needed the reset. Which of the campaign messages appealed to your senses a lot?
None. None of the message resonated with anybody. The reality is that people, because you see, look, one thing that threaded for basically the average person was their haircut. I mean, everybody, it was party blind. And so, common human sense would tell you that there will be
not a national cathedral hall.
It's limited to us in Accra, and that thing is even cordoned. You can't even get to see it. I never saw it. We drove by, you see these sheets. You never really got to see it.
But there were pictures about how it's become like an open pool and all of that.
The guys who determine who is president are not the party people with their cards. It's the crazies like us who keep looking at this and we swing. We can even while you are there to vote. In the
voting booth.
Yeah. So if I'm in power, I will make sure everybody gets to vote early enough. Because you sit there, I voted at Wager at my place, Delta Royals, DJ Street, former school. We got in early, very good numbers. We had to wait for that sheet, that pink thing. Maybe they change the color.
Oh, yes.
We have to wait for hours to get the pink sheet. By that time, people started having conversations they would normally not have had. And then the influence started playing.
Right.
So though they were not wearing the colors, they were talking. And then you get held responsible because you are in charge. So all those many little things come into play. But the election will always in this country, as it stands, be determined by the guys who are not loyal to each party.
Wow.
So we look at what you've done, and then we judge you. And this judgment was ruthless. That was nice. And I said this to people: everybody who is eligible to vote will vote. There are those who go and vote like us, who will always go and stand in there and do it. And those who don't go to vote are also voters.
Right.
That's a way of also showing their displeasure.
Yes, because you see, if 2 of us or 3 of us go to vote, you have 3 votes. If 2 only go to vote, you lose 1 vote.
I get them out.
So whatever you do, you rock the vote by
A politician once told me that in the Christian faith they say that you need, he leaves the 99 to look for the 1. Right, but in politics, if you do that, you're a fool because you need 50 plus 1.
I'm telling you.
So if you have 99, you are fine. If you leave 1 to go and look for it, you're actually interesting. Wow, right. Maybe we should talk more about politics and other, social issues.
Yeah, but I heard, Doctor, you guys were talking about cholera.
Cholera, also very important.
I hope we all eat something warm.
True.
And of course, all these swinging lights out going on in the country in the last 2-3 months.
The food in the fridge.
All of that is part.
Well,
our mind didn't even get attuned to that.
Yeah, to get there.
Well, Doc, Reverend, we are looking at how to teach kids empathy, right? Self-regulation and emotional intelligence. I saw the word emotional intelligence and I'm like, is it not far-fetched, for kids, right? So when we say, maybe we should just start with empathy because I believe strongly it's an area that's really lacking. Right? When we say empathy for kids, even before we come to self-regulation and emotional intelligence, very briefly, what are we looking at?
Empathy for kids or empathy from kids? So let's do the two. First of all, look at empathy. Basically, we're talking about having sensitivity for another person. I need to understand that if I want her to hear me, I can't stay behind her for the next 20 hours because she has to keep turning the neck. It's going to hurt her. I must ask myself, if I was in that position, how will I take it if I have to keep my head twisted for almost 20 hours listening to her? So that basically is what the old Indian guys, you know, back in the day, we used to talk about it. They say, come wear my moccasins and we can sit down and smoke pipe and then we can talk. Understand what somebody feels like. Be sensitive to the other person. Understand that what somebody is going through is not foreign or alien to the person, and that, you know, there will I have been, but for the grace of God. So basically, when we talk about empathy, we are saying that be caring enough. We understand somebody that it's not always at your level, and even if you're not there today, you could be there tomorrow. So I remember very well years ago, the first time when the NDC were fully out, and that means Jerry was no more, because he never really lost an election.
That was in 2000.
Yeah, when he left. I remember very well. I think Kufuor just won.
Yeah.
And it was just, yeah. I remember I was home and I had a call. One of the few times I had a call of that nature from at the time, Kwesi Chumketi. And he said, what's up with your Charlie? But I check any be I share one chili. So, but come and hold the place. And he said something that resonated with me. He said, they have won, but we need peace in the country. So, you know, and I think I feel that this time around, to my surprise, I think that there has been some empathy even in politics, because it helps to prepare for what is coming ahead. So you have to be sensitive to people's needs. But you see, where do they learn from? How are you going to teach your child? You can give all the lectures because you have to walk the talk. You can give all the experience and tell them everything about empathy. But your son and daughter, they're going to watch how you're handling your maid. Your son and your daughter, you're going to watch how you are dealing with the driver. Day to day, how do you cope with them when they err, when they are late in doing this or in doing that? How do you relate to them? You know, you live in a house and you have a driver who drives for you, and for a whole year he never took a meal from your house because it's not part of his job. So there's the sensitivity we want to teach our children. It's the sensitivity they must see us teach and share towards other people. And if you want to let the children understand empathy, then they must see it best from you to people who are really low below you. In other words, that squatter in your neighborhood, your kids want to see you once in a while, pause, drop that window, allow a little dust for a few seconds, and say, good morning, Muti saying, take back a They need to see you live it. Empathy is better taught by actions, not by theorizing it. So we need to show them. And then, of course, among themselves as kids, you need to know that when one kid is crying for what right or wrong reasons, you don't let others make mockery of the person. They may need to do that maybe for a second or two, but draw them back and let them understand that when you were crying the last time, mommy carried you. When you were crying the last time, that even if they get a smacking, you know, just let them know that you identify with somebody is very, very key. So parents must teach it practically for their kids to see more than theorizing it. Even in the classroom too, if you realize there's a challenge, a child with a challenge in the class, you know, as a teacher, how do you handle the person? When they pick on somebody, how do you respond to it? So we must teach them more by how we live, how we practice, how we handle other people. You know, there are homes where the kids, the parents have taught the children never to respect their house self because they are not at their level, but they wash your plates. You know, they wash your plates, they feed your kids. So how do you treat them? Let them have the respect. I said the other day, it's so important that our kids learn practical things, because you see, if they don't even, the empathy you are teaching them to exhibit is what can save them tomorrow. Because you see, if you have 4 kids and you have a house help or somebody who comes to keep an eye on them for you, they will have affection for 1 or 2 of the kids more than the others. In as much as they share the same genetics, in as much as if you run, you know, a DNA to check their paternity. They will all be your children. They're ourselves. The people they play with will like them differently because of how they respond. And even if you take it to the Bible, the book of Romans talks about the fact that while we're yesterday, Christ died for us. That scripture teaches us something interesting that we can pick a lesson from empathy there. It says that, scarcely for a righteous man will some die. So here we are, the holy man. The holy man, the Bible says, is scarce. That means it's difficult to get somebody to die for him. But peradventure, for a good man, that's an empathic person, a kind person, some may dare to die. So, of course, he uses the two and he contrasts the value we should place on Jesus dying for us on the cross. He says, scarcely for a righteous man will somebody die. But for a good man, some may dare to die. But God commended his love for us.
That's Romans 5,
we're yet sinners, right? Yeah. Christ died for us. So I like the preceding verse because it enriches that verse about Jesus dying for us. That the holy man, it's not easy for people to die for him. Because, see, it's subjective. His holiness is personal. It's subjective. It's for him and it's God. You are holy. I'm not holy. That's cool. That's your issue. But for a good man, Charlie, when he drinks the milk, the little left, you give it to me. When he eats his food, the little left, I know that my son can take it and eat it. So for him, I relate to him without seeing God. I see God around the leftover milk, and I see his worship around the leftover wachi. But God commends his love for us. So we must teach them practical things. If we don't share that, the people in our neighborhood, how do we relate to them? There are people who drive and no matter what, nobody will get to sit in your car. You'll be at work, you'll be at a VIP conference, giving all your lecture notes with all your whatever AI technology, and they'll call it the houses of fire. Fire service, where would they come from? They're not going to vote before they will get there.
Interesting. So the whole experience of empathy is experiential.
It should be. It has to be educational, but it's basically experiential.
Wow.
But that's more lasting because you have reality, you have pictures, visual teaching, the practice and everything goes that way.
Reverend, let's talk about self-regulation. So there have been times where I see a child want something, maybe a remote or a phone. The parent will refuse to give it to him, and then they'll drop on the floor and kicking their hands and legs, screaming, all of that. Is that, a self-regulation? How do you teach them that I will not give you this and you must sit quietly?
Yeah, okay. What you change is what you choose. You get it?
Please
what you don't change.
What you change.
Yeah, what you don't change is what you have chosen. You understand? Like, I mean, if you're dating a guy and he's abusive, and you're planning to change him, but you're still with him, that's what you've chosen for now.
Right.
So you have not changed him, so that's what you've chosen. Yeah, that's why the other time I was quick to say that the lady, I can't blame the guy for abusing her because she has allowed it to continue.
Allowed it.
So what you don't change is what you've chosen, okay? Here's the thing. A child lying down, kicking and doing those things, it has meanings. A child that will flip and tantrum about and because they're not getting what they want, there's a little bit of it that it speaks to say that they know they are loved in that place. So there's a health there, there's a positive thing there. It's just that you want to be, that all comes down to that woman's song, a Rama, that Ninja management. So that child throwing the tantrum, misbehaving, is showing a sign. And it means that she's comfortable here and she can get away with more here. In other words, that child is reasserted with affection and with love, but the balance has to now come. Right. But it's important to build the foundation. So I do understand that will happen, but now it's a matter of balancing it. Because let me elucidate. You see, the same child that you refused the toffee or the remote and started misbehaving, the same child in another environment, under the same circumstances, will not do what they are doing. They will not flip, they will not jump, they will not do this, they will not do that. In fact, in some places, look, you see some clips, a child will be there, bum with the mother, gig with the father. The mother will have tried 30 minutes just getting the kid to do so, they won't do it. Daddy walks home, and Charlie Agbina, without saying so much, the child is in order. Balance. So those things, yes, is it. But however, there has to be discipline. And I always said sitting is the start. You have to learn to sit.
And listen.
I mean, yes. The only reason why we got through on the 70 because we decided to wait in line and do our votes. There were tantrums here and there, but there were more people were more sober, knowing that they are here not to fight. We will speak our message. We will not swing or swerve. No. We're growing strength and we're growing confidence. We'll endure and do what we are.
And wait till 7.
So you need to let them have that childish thing. That childish bringing that affection, which be the foundation. But then you must reinforce discipline. A time has to come when the child must know that no is no, and the earliest is time to enforce is as early as possible. So a child must know that no is part of your growth process, and you have to speak to them. Sometimes it's also a phone call from the kids, or maybe a service provider. Children have a way of reaching out to us differently when one method is not working because parents are not listening to kids. Major problem now. The problem now is not the kids, so it's the parents. They are not listening because they themselves have so much they have to deal with and not to carry along. Yeah. So they come from where there's a pressure. They didn't go well, and a child comes to you and they're asking you all kinds of, in quotes, silly, stupid questions. Silly, stupid questions. I mean, you are planning a meeting, a management meeting tomorrow. You know that you are not going to be there, but an issue of yours is going to be raised over there. You don't know the outcome. The child is like, "Mommy, what is this? Daddy, what is this?" And their questions are stupid. But you see, they are stupid because you are receiving the questions. But they are so key because they are now developing. They are now evolving. So they don't have it. And some of those answers is part of what will help them to structure their self-discipline, to be in place. So, Mommy, why is this? Why is that? Why is that? And then the same question can be asked. We need to give them time. It is this indiscipline, it is this shortcut, getting rid of the kids that led to the remotes and those devices that went to them. Which also are designed to take them to another world altogether.
Them, yeah.
So we need to understand that those questions they're asking, they need to be answered. They need to be responded to. The 5-year-old question, the 4-year-old question, the 3-year-old question, they live in their complete being, absolute Homo sapiens. They live in their own world, and they are dealing with issues that can only be addressed by the person who is higher than them and with them and whose answer they can trust. I remember my sister, Florence, my big sister. He has a son. Rowan is in London now. He's a lawyer there. When he was young, there used to be a school called, those who know college, the Amazing Grace. They taught him in school that wine, gogomi, yeah, wine, when.
Yeah.
What was the concept focus? The focus was that don't drink even when your parents are drinking, because our parents will just give it to their kids. So I'm doing a communion service. Rowan has come with the mother. At communion, Rowan was around 10 or 8 or 10 there. And nobody in the Bible school teaches you what to do when somebody will take the bread and not take the wine, because you eat it the body, you didn't drink the blood. Halfway salvation. And this boy said, he will not drink.
No way.
No. Charlie, but he didn't drink it all. Today he organized communion service. The concept was that don't take wine. So I'm saying that if you didn't teach him and somebody taught him, it taught him something different. So we need to have time for the kids and bring them up well. Share with them, allow them, have time to answer. Look, women have more time investing in tracking what is the information on their guys' phones.
CSI.
More than answering simple questions from their children.
Yeah.
Guys have more time trying to find out more about the past of their ladies. More than answering basic things of our kids. So we need to give children attention, and they will listen because they don't know nothing. What they know is what we teach them. And sharing it doesn't mean I know better. It's a failure. Yesterday, my son called from school. He said something happened. I was somewhere minding my own business. He said he called and gave me information. That means his friends are telling him things going on. So I'm like, yeah, what's up? I said, okay, yeah, okay. By the way, you have to come on this time. Yes, I'll come. Then we talk. I said, okay, this issue is not an issue. I'm dealing with it. Bye-bye. And then we left it there. The idea to communicate should be there. The flow should be there. So I think parents must do that. And then deal with the children. Look, for example, this is water. You have discipline. He has the, oh, good guy. They have some element of discipline. There's a 4 or 5-year-old child here. This is pizza. You know you brought these kids to love pizza. You always reward them with pizza. They see pizza and they know that today I buy a pizza. They've had enough. You don't want them to have the pizza that day. When you are bringing the pizza home, find some ChannelOne frame and cloth and wrap it around the pizza and make sure it doesn't look like a box. And just go and hide it or put it somewhere. Don't let them pick the smell. Because you shouldn't expose them. The Bible says that if you give them, open them to temptation, it's a problem. So we should not prematurely expose them to what they can manage. Because even at our ages, even grown-ups, you grown-ups, things the doctors have told you not to do, you do it. The thing you shouldn't eat after 8 o'clock, sometimes you go and eat it. When you speak the smell from the next door, no, you remember you have one, you watch, and then you time it up. So we must also respect their borders and not demand too much from them by training them. Because you see, you said you shouldn't eat, maybe let's say biscuit or whatever. That thing is here. No, I won't give you. So the child respectfully moves away. After he goes and plays, he's back 4 minutes, that thing is still sitting there. And he comes to ask you. And he said, no. And then, what? That is a sin. You are sinning. You are giving the child a temptation. So remove it. It's not always enough to leave it there because of the way their psyche is. And then one thing about disciplined children, this is very important. See, when a child does wrong now, check the child immediately. Okay? Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till later. If you cannot check the child in the presence of your visitor,
right,
then don't check the child when the visitor is gone. Because the child psychologically will question why you waited for the person to go. If I've done wrong.
But doesn't that follow the principle of like this whole, maybe not a good analogy, but like this whole thing of don't wash dirty linens outside, you know, the thing they say about it's okay outside, I'm not framing it better.
That it will make your child shy or
yes, so it's always better sort of reprimanding children inside, right? So they learn and it will help them perform much better outside. I don't know the thinking around it.
Well, then decide who enters your house. Because you see, every good friend of mine who comes to my home, if my child goes wrong, I'll say it. I'll correct you. And I expect you, the parent, to do the same so that there's no cop-out.
Is it when it's inside your house, or even let's say, so for example, at church, right? Or even in school, your child misbehave. I remember those days, open day, you know, your parents come, they are going through your books, they are like, what's this happening here? Why did you forge the signature here? What did you know? And some of them have a meltdown with their child in the classroom when other parents are there, when other students are there. People just come to school, come and flog their children, literally, in the presence of the whole school. That's the kind of reprimand I'm talking about publicly. Would you say it's okay or it's proper?
The Bible also talks about rebuking in the presence of all, that the rest may also stand in fear. The Bible talks about that one too. It's a balance. It's a balancing act. Nothing wrong with that. Now, you're not talking about 2-3-year-old kids, right? But let me tell you this. The thing the kids do over there is what we allow them to do here and to get away with it. The very things that we reprimanded the maid for correcting that child about, the very thing you reprimanded the house help, the very thing you reprimanded your neighbor who wanted to call your attention that you didn't want. And if the bedroom fills, the veranda will expose you.
I like how you remodeled.
Because you don't want to talk about, you don't want to talk about, you don't want to talk about.
If the bedroom fills, the veranda will expose you.
Yeah, if the bedroom fills, the veranda will expose you. There are things you should have corrected in the bedroom. Most of the things our kids will do to us, and kids also punish us.
Yeah.
Sometimes they take revenge. The kids do worship revenge. They know you won't start. You don't want this anymore. They will time you. I didn't give them the toffee. Over there.
Look, I wish you could talk about emotional intelligence, but I don't want us to touch it because I want it to be the main focal point for next week.
Yeah.
Because it looks like already conversations around empathy and self-regulation, right? Somebody sends a message and says self-discipline. I don't know if it's the same thing. Maybe you can just briefly touch on it.
Yeah.
Because this message here says self-discipline is a great tool we need to inculcate in children, especially of all ages.
And Exactly.
So
and the thing to do, sorry, but the thing to do with with that one is teach a child to sit still. You know, I keep going back there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're not going to get me to sit here, and it's not punishment. If you're not going to get me to stay here we're not talking about exceptional cases where we have a child, you know, a child had a grown-up syndrome challenge where they have to handle different. Even then, there's a way to manage them. So if you're not going to get a child to sit here, you can't get anything done. So self-discipline is key. And remember, look, you can have 3-year-old kids. You can line them up here. You see the discipline ones. It's the parenting thing.
Yeah.
Because at that age, it's about celebrating them. When they also have egos, you know. Louis Kahn said that everybody wants to be something. Even a simple, ordinary brick wants to be something more than a brick. That's why when you finish a building, you have all the block work, you do the plastering or whatever. You still, you know, it's not really the same until you give it an aesthetic finishing.
Yeah. Or you add something more.
Yeah,
Then even when you add something, you're wondering, what can I do to better it?
Yeah, you look at
I get the illustration.
So it's important that you give the child that, and kids are very fantastic. They are far better than us, you know. So they'll put the discipline. There are kids who will come from school and do this and do that. There are little kids who know that when mommy is washing, they'll go there, they give them some fine water to wash. They will sit still. They will not misbehave. It's the way you bring them up. For example, I don't ever, and I'm subject to correction, but personally, I don't ever, and maybe, you know, like, I can't tell, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't remember carrying a crying child to school. My case, no. I don't remember.
What's the problem or the challenge with that?
I don't remember carrying a crying child to school because I don't want that to happen. I've seen it happen. I don't have kids early. I'm like, it's not happening. Kids should not be crying when they go to school. You wop them all up already. They don't. St. Teresa, no, I don't remember. I'm not saying they don't cry. I'm not saying they don't have problem, but I don't remember, you know, carrying them. You need to be able to find a way and let the tears end.
Yeah.
Because they are kids. There's a problem. Look, a few weeks ago, just before the election, I went to see Isaac, one of the video guys, and they were dragging the little girl, the boy, just around the Bubiash corner there, and I parked. No, the thing was coming, and I was. Those things, when I see me, I react. So I was trying to stay away. Because this day you never know, you know, but they'll beat you free. I said no. Everybody couldn't wait. I said, excuse me, leave that child. I called that child. I didn't mind me, so I crossed them. And we stood there for a few minutes. I'm like, what is it? What is it? He wouldn't listen. I said, what is the problem? He said something about some coins.
Yeah.
So he wants the coin, and I think they didn't give it to the boy. He's going something, you know, kids. It's like the spirit has come. So that made them complete. So I said, okay, look, you are not going to school today. I said, what's the problem? So I had my little bag there, and okay, all the fight. I said, okay. So I took. Fortunately, you know, I always want to keep coins. So every time I have coins, the toffees. So I opened the little bag and I had some few coins there. I have two. The one they say is 2 CD. The 1 CD one. I took the 50 peso coins. I just picked a bunch into my hands and I called the boy. I didn't mind. He was, you know, like the house help or the big sister. Yeah, you stand. So I just started putting 50 pesos into his pocket here. Then I put another 50 peso coin here. Then I put another one there. It's only a school bag, and then I put one here. So that's 2 CDs so far.
Yes.
Now I have a 2 CD coin that I could have done that. But you know, sometimes there's a blessing in the exaggeration. So I haven't reached that level. The guy knows he's loaded. His girlfriend will be fine. There'll be toffee for his girlfriend. He's our 6-year-old boy. So quickly, I said, come, will you go to school? He says, I will go. Open your hand. 1. Open your 1. Yeah. Now I have this 20 pesos 1. 1. It was not up to 5 CDs.
But he was happy.
You know, clean his face.
He's gone.
You know, Reverend, I get you, right?
Time.
So you've spoken a lot about empathy, self-regulation. Other people have sent messages, call it self-discipline. Great. But my concern is it a one-cup-fits-all kind of approach? You know, considering the sophistication of children we have coming up now, growing up now, and the different backgrounds, the different orientation of their parents, even, you know, the social context, right? So, for example, how their spending power, all of that, the schools they attend. So would you say the level of exposure for each child is different in that it affects their empathetic nature and then also affects how discipline, right, and even their self-motivation. Maybe there should be something in there, right? It can't be a one-cap-fits-all approach.
See, it's very simple. If there's a way, if you find a solution that maybe if a poor person is thirsty, they should drink water. But if a rich person is thirsty, they should drink yogurt. And it will assuage their thirst, then that works. If we are sure that if a rich person has malaria, they should take a anti-malaria tablet. But if a poor person has malaria, they should take maybe, they eat wache. If that works. Because at the end of the day, we are reduced to nothing. We are all like, we are naked before the Lord. And so the principles don't change, even with the structure, it doesn't change.
You know, it takes me back to my whole nature versus nature conversation.
Yes.
But we should have this when we start or we discuss the emotional intelligence bit of the conversation.
Yeah.
That'll be next week.
Okay, sure, no problem. So basically, let's understand, kids are kids. We have kids who have issues, mental issues, health issues. Those are exceptions. But we are talking about principles governing the rule. And like I said in the beginning, right? What you don't change is what you choose.
Powerful. You know, so profound.
It's simple as that. Yeah.
So
simple as that.
There's always that one liner.
Yeah, what you don't change is what you
Except
choose.
that today's own didn't come at the beginning. It came towards the end of the discussion. But I'm so grateful for your time.
Sure,
it's
thank God.
always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you,
Your
Reverend.
insights.
What you don't change is what you choose. If you've not picked up anything today, what you don't change is what you choose. So
it appears that maybe on the 7th, that's what your people did.
What you don't change is definitely what you choose.